Let's go to Emma James for Media Watch, starting with the latest stories and images emerging from Burundi.
Yes, this is a crisis that the whole world is keeping their eye on right now, and things do seem to be getting worse. The Washington Post has printed this opinion piece with an image of a mourner at the funeral of one of the opposition leaders who was killed this weekend. They put in a kind of masterpiece of understatement, you might say, that things aren't looking good for the country. They say that Pierre Nkurunziza looks perfectly content to play games with the lives of his citizens in his unconstitutional quest for power. They say that Belgium's suspension of election aid had little effect on what the president was planning to do. And the Washington Post says that the US was right to condemn the coup attempt, but that now it needs to turn its attention on the president and issue full sanctions unless things start to change. Now, the other thing that people are particularly concerned about is the growing refugee crisis. This was posted earlier today by the UN's refugee group, the Refugee Agency, and they say that it's 100,000 plus people who've left the country. Some people are estimating it could be as high as 200,000. And the images that they've produced here really do give you an idea of the scale of what it is that's happening. Now, the other thing, of course, that's complicating their job is that there's also a cholera outbreak in Tanzania, one of the areas where people are fleeing to. The Wall Street Journal has printed this photo essay with some stunning photographs, very shocking as well. But what they point at is the fact that at the moment this issue is very much political, but they fear that it could very easily become an ethnic clash. It's only a decade since the last civil war ended, when 300,000 Hutus and Tutsis were killed. And these images very reminiscent of what we saw back then. Now, they say opposition figures are keeping a low profile, understandably so, but they don't want people to think that Nkurunziza is running unopposed. So they're treading a fine line between getting their message out there and being able to keep themselves safe, basically. Another account, which is very moving indeed, is this from Simon Guilbeault, who works for a religious group. They do charitable work in the Great Lakes region. He's lived in Burundi for nearly 20 years. He describes how he found himself sitting in a cafe crying openly, and he said it's really not the Burundian way. He mentions a proverb: a Burundian man's tears fall inside his stomach. He talks about a colleague's 3-year-old daughter who literally wets herself every time she hears gunfire. So clearly in this country there is a great deal to be very, very upset about indeed. Now, UNICEF tweeted this image of a group of young boys playing football, saying it's the only way they can forget about the violence. The reaction to that, very different indeed to what we saw on Friday, when Pierre Nkurunziza, the president, was photographed playing football while the streets were burning in Burundi.
The images, Emma, tell the story there, right down to the last T, as it were. Let's move on and talk about Barack Obama and his social media exploits. Of course, he's got the Twitter account, which has done a bundle, as they say, and it's also, of course, brought up the nasty side of the internet, hasn't it?
It has. With the launch of @POTUS, which stands for President of the United States, Barack Obama almost immediately broke a world record. Within 5 hours, he had 1 million followers, but he also received a great deal of unpleasant messages. The first one came in 10 minutes after his first tweet. It's been removed now, but it used the N-word. It said to him, it advised him to go and get cancer.
Seriously?
Seriously, and some of these images and tweets are deeply shocking. This one, for example, Jeff Gully has tweeted, "Arrest Obama." He's used an image which is very similar. Basically, he's doctored the image of hope.
It's the Yes We Can campaign.
It's the old campaign, the old presidential campaign from 2008. But of course, he's got a noose around his neck. Now, the connotations of that really are quite sickening. As The Hill reports, it's a very difficult line for people to tread on this one. Twitter don't really know what to do about trolls and abuse. The Secret Service went to visit the man who created that image and spoke to him. Now, they haven't said what was said between them, but his Twitter account is still live today, and you can still see that image. That image is actually his profile photo. What the Secret Service had to say is that people have the right to free speech, but what they have to determine is exactly what their intent is with that comment.
It's a fairly grim intent, whatever it is, isn't it? Disgusting. More cyberbullying, but this one with a slightly better outcome.
It's a much happier ending with this one. I don't know if you ever saw this image at the time that it was posted on a rather obscure social media,
Will?
4chan. It says, spotted this specimen trying to dance the other week. He stopped when he saw us laughing. Now you see him looking very dejected on the right. There then followed a campaign to find out who this man was. It turns out he's 46-year-old Sean O'Brien from Liverpool. And this weekend, a group of women who arranged it all on social media, they had a huge Hollywood dance party in his honour.
They've taken him from
That's
Liverpool
him.
to Hollywood.
Yeah, that's him with Monica Lewinsky. She was a guest of honour. The images, clearly he was dancing. There's a hashtag dance free, which is doing the rounds. Pharrell Williams lending his support to the campaign.
Amazing. What was his reaction?
His reaction, he says it's been fantastic. The Liverpool Echo, his local paper, has been following his every move. And one of the quotes that I've seen here that I know will appeal to you, it's been the best night of my life, apart from when Everton won the league.
I hear what you're saying, Sean, apart from when Everton won the league. High in my top nights as well. Emma James, thank you very much for Media Watch. Well done to you, Sean. Hope you enjoyed your big night in Hollywood and hope Everton win the league next season for you and for me. Will with the business, thank you very much as well.